Om Shanti, good evening. So wonderful to have you all on the call. Today we'll touch base on the topic, my inner compass. Just before we go into the topic, let's take a moment of silence. Thank you. These moments of silence are very essential to take from the moment we wake up until we go to bed. We're so much in sound. We live in the world of sound, especially living in this New York City. Always so much hustle and bustle going on. So there is so much sound out there. And one is external sound, and the other is the sound within our own minds. All the time the mind is in a chatter, all the time the mind is in the thinking mode. And so you may say, yeah, we work, we do things, we have to live in this world, so we have to think. Of course, we have to think. And the natural nature of the mind is to think. But at the same time, balancing that thinking with silence is also very much essential. Because when I take those moments of silence, it's as if I can see the direction, in which direction this life is moving. In that silence, I can feel my feelings, what I'm actually feeling, how am I feeling inside, what is this life about, or what is my purpose? Sometimes we ask, what is my purpose? And sometimes we're living our life the same old way, the same old routine. And after like 10, 15 years, we feel like, what is this going on? I want to change. I want to change the way I'm living. I need a change in my life. And so sometimes taking those moments of silence, because when we are too busy, where are we listening to what our heart is feeling? We don't have time to even know what's going on inside. Maybe the direction I'm going is not giving me 100% satisfaction, contentment. I want to do something else. And so when we have this balance of sound and silence, then I'm able to listen to my heart. I'm able to listen to my inner feelings very clearly. It's as if we have almost forgotten to get in touch with our own self. It's as if we don't know what to do in silence, right? When we say, okay, let's take a moment of silence, it's like in that silence, I'm listening to the inner chatter more than before. And so this balance of sound and silence is needed so that the mind gets used to enjoying that inner silence. And so at this point, I just want to open up a presentation for all of you. Give me a moment. And there you go. So the balance of sound and silence is absolutely essential. And also in that silence, I'm able to actually listen to my own self. Maybe sometimes I want to have a new direction to my life, but maybe I'm not giving enough time to listen to my own feelings, to listen to where I want to actually go. And so we do a lot of external listening when we have an idea or we want to change in life. We go to various people, ask for their opinions, and definitely so many opinions we get from people. Do this, do that. What does your heart feel? What's inside your heart? How do you actually feel about doing something new? Mm. And so, going a little more further, as we all know about this navigational devices or tools called compass, and we know how these compasses used to help the ship navigate, right? And so they say that, let me actually go to this slide. Mm. A compass can actually even guide to the destination, even in the dark. So, how does this compass work? Of course, I'm not here to talk about the scientific part of it, a little bit. As they say, the main ingredient of the two things in a compass, and that is one is the magnet and the other is the needle. And so the needle is connected to the magnet, and because the needle and magnet are together, the needle is actually showing the direction. And they say that the needle, the science says that the needle always it points towards north. And so, of course, the opposite pole to north is south, as we know. And so that's how the voyagers used to find their way, because the needle always used to show the points towards north, the direction towards the north. And so the science says that yes, this whole earth is a magnetic field. At the core of the earth there is this huge magnet, and that's so the compass, when it's aligned to this magnetic field of the earth, it shows the direction towards where to go. And so in the same way, on the road, when we are driving, we have GPS, right? We all use GPS, and it is said that GPS is actually connected to the satellite. And so that's how the external compass is working. But what about this inner compass? So each one of us definitely have this inner compass. And the way I see it is this intellect that we have, right? This intellect is that needle. And that needle, the intellect, is always actually showing us the direction, which way to go. It's like our inner voice. And when that intellect is connected to the greater magnet, that is the source, and then the direction is perfect. And so, first of all, I need to notice and understand that I do have an inner compass. It's always telling me which direction to go in life. Sometimes when we were little, the teacher or parents or, uncles and aunts, they used to ask, what do you want to become when you're grown up? Right? We always ask that question, what do you want to become? But then when we are grown ups, then the question is asked, what do you do for your living? And so that's how it has become. Something being has become doing. Oh, what do you want to become? What do you want to be? Right? I think somewhere in the journey of life, we have forgotten to be, and we have shifted that being into doing completely. And so, what is that do you do for your living? So that being has shifted into doing right now. And so then again, bringing these two aspects into balance of being and doing. And today, most of the time, we are in the doing mode. Even whilst listening to the sessions, say if you're, you um, are you in a doing mode or are you in a being mode? Mm-hmm. We're always distracted to something or the other, right? It's like either we're taking our cell phones and we're doing something, we're distracted to our gadgets, we're distracted to something else. Can we take that moment and just be? Be who am I? And that's when I can actually feel my inner compass. This intellect is a wonderful element that we all have. And so in Raj Yoga spiritual education, we learn that I am a soul, and the soul has this powerful guide called intellect. Mind, of course, but then intellect. This intellect is that connector. This intellect is that needle which connects to the higher power. The intellect is also called as the third eye through which I have realizations, I have feelings, I have resources, it's guiding me. This intellect is an amazing thing. As I said, it is also called the third eye. It's able to see the invisible energies, the invisible powers. Just like in the world right now, how much there is hustle and bustle about this COVID, right? This virus that's everywhere. It's invisible to our eye, but it is so powerful that it's ready to destroy everything. And so that which is invisible is actually powerful. So this intellect that we have, which is also called the third eye or the needle, is showing me the direction where to go. It's allowing me to see that invisible future where I want to actually go. My future destination, this intellect is already seeing it, and it's saying, hey, this is the way. This is where you need to go. So just like how the compass is connected to this magnetic field of the earth, in the same way, our inner compass should be aligned to who am I. Know and realize your best self. That's the first step, actually. Knowing and realizing my best self. Do I know myself? And this is where we have started the session with that silence. Because in the silence, I'm able to realize my own self. Who am I? Do I know my best self? The other day, somebody was saying that she is unable to even recognize what virtues she has. I don't know my specialties. So I think knowing your specialties is important. Knowing what you stand for, knowing your best self is absolutely essential. So one is knowing your best self, but in spirituality, knowing my real self, my true self is needed. And the true self, the real self, is that I'm a soul. And the soul has wonderful qualities. The soul has absolutely wonderful potential. And the intellect is driving me to use that potential in the right direction. The intellect is telling me you have it and you can do it. You have more than you imagine. So go for it. Don't wait for somebody to tell you are the best. You know, recognize it. You have it. So one is my inner compass is telling me that you have that potential. You are the best self. You can do it. And your greater future is waiting for you. And the second important thing is connecting to the greater satellite, that wonderful magnet, the source, God. Only when when the needle in a compass is linked to that magnet, the magnet is actually directing the needle towards the direction. So I think the times we are in, it's very essential that we take those moments and keep ourselves connected to that greater magnet, to the greater satellite, so that I know my direction where to go. And he's there to show me the direction. But what happens? He's there to show me the direction. But sometimes our intellect, our needles are so busy. Our intellect is caught up in so many tunnels. Did you ever realize, or did you ever experience this? That when you're on road and sometimes you get into a tunnel, and we have these huge tunnels here in New York City, the Holland Tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel, and when we get into the tunnel, your GPS is off. It doesn't work anymore. Why? Because it's disconnected with the satellite. And so once it's out of the tunnel, it takes a few moments to recalculate or reconnect. Recalculate is later, but it has to connect back to the satellite to start working again and to show the way. And so sometimes in life, it does happen that we want to go in a certain direction, and the greater satellite or the magnet, the source is there to help us. But sometimes we are clogged. We go into the tunnel of our thoughts, and then we actually forget. We're disconnected with that satellite. Did you ever experience that when you turn on your GPS and it's taking you round and round at the same place? Like it did happen to me. I had to go somewhere, and then I think New Jersey, and then for 15 minutes, actually, I'm just circling at the same place. And then I had to turn off the GPS and then turn it back, and then it got connected. So anyway, sometimes it does happen that, we just circle in the same thoughts. We get into this tunnel, and then we block ourselves from the navigation. So be aware of the tunnels that make the compass lose the navigation. So what are these tunnels that actually make me lose the navigation towards my destination? The tunnel of my own thoughts, the dictates of my own mind, or the direction of my own mind. Sometimes we get into a mode of thinking and we sit there. We're not allowing ourselves to actually come out of the tunnel. How does it feel when we are getting, closer to the end of the tunnel and you're seeing that little light? And sometimes we are too much in our thinking. We're not able to see that end of the tunnel, that light, the other end of the tunnel, which exists at the other end of the tunnel. So sometimes we're just, we get into this, our own desires, our own ego, And we sit there and this is what it is. You know, I know better sometimes. And say sometimes our parents or somebody are telling me this is the way. Sometimes we get stuck with our own way of dictates, our own way of thinking, and so sometimes they say, I know better. Maybe sometimes I don't know. Maybe I need to listen sometimes. Mm. Sometimes when you say something to someone and they say, I know. But yes, sometimes, I may be knowing, but it could be from headspace. So knowing from your heart, knowing from an experience is completely different from knowing from an headspace. So sometimes when parents say something to children and children respond, I know. But then parents say, no, you don't know. You may be knowing from headspace, but you don't know from an experience. So sometimes it could be self-doubt as well. I may be sitting in my own self-doubt that I can't do, or you know, I cannot do this. I don't fit to do. I don't have that potential. I don't know whether I'll be able to do it or not. Sometimes we get into our own self-doubt and we are not able to actually explore the potential we have. We're unable to actually give it a shot. You know, yes, I can do it. Sometimes we're not doing that. You know, maybe I can do wonders actually, but that one little block, that tunnel of self doubt is not allowing me to actually do. And sometimes low self esteem. Again, the same old thoughts like, I don't think so. I can do it. And then comparing myself with others. Oh, they are better. They can do it. I'm not able to actually grind my own ingredients. Meaning I'm not able to actually look into my own, self. It's like we were talking about the purpose. What is purpose? Purpose is something that you create. It's a creative journey. You create your purpose, right? But sometimes we are happy looking at others, they are doing wonderful. But you are doing wonderful too. You're just not recognizing. But sometimes we wait, others have to tell us, oh, you did well. Yeah. So these kind of low self-esteems we keep, which actually blocks us um, from moving ahead. And then, of course, public opinion, which is a big thing. Public opinion, what we think others' opinions are important. Mm. And so we just, you know, what will others think? What will others say if I do this? And sometimes we're killing our own wonderful dreams that we have, or the destination we want to actually move towards. Okay, so let's go to the next. So the second is the tunnel of directions from others. We were just talking about the public opinion. One is that feeling that, what would others think? Others will always think. People will always think, whether you do this way or that way. In every way, they will think. So sometimes we sit in the tunnel of what will people say? What will people think if I do this way? So I need to come out of these tunnels, the tunnels that block our mind, with all these kinds of thoughts. And, it blocks us from being connected to the greater satellite. the powerful magnet that is God, the source. So sometimes it's like, did you experience that? Of course, we all must have experienced a lot of times that, when you call somebody, it's busy, or when they're calling you, it's busy. And so, in the same time, it's like, God is giving us signals. Our needle is showing me the direction, but maybe I'm too blinded. I'm not able to see the direction because I am in this tunnel of, too much of thinking that's going on in my mind. And sometimes we also get bothered, or we are in the tunnel of the directions from others. And we go and ask, it's like 7 billion people, 7 billion opinions. If you go and ask anybody, what should I do about this? You will get 7 billion opinions about what to do. I remember somebody who was unwell, and she had to undergo a surgery, and she asked a few people, what to do, and then not just few people, and then their people and their people, and so many of them started giving her so many opinions and so many ideas, do this, do that. At the end of the day, she was so confused. And at one point, she just didn't want anybody's opinion. And she just went inside her heart and she felt, what is that I want to do? What is that I feel about this? And that's when she had the clarity and she went ahead. And so sometimes we go into the tunnels of like, asking too many directions from people. Then there is a lot of confusion it can create, and it can create lack of clarity. And then sometimes, we're going round and round in the same direction. As I said, when your GPS gets lost with a connection with a satellite, it just takes you round and round in the same place. So sometimes it's good to have, opinions of the close ones, maybe, whom you trust, whom you feel that you can approach them. But not sometimes, going and, telling your story to each and everyone. Then the more you go and tell each and everyone your story, the more it creates confusion for sure. Then what should I do? That is, I need to align my needle to the greater satellite, God. Yes, He's there to give those signals. And I think it is important for this boat of life, to be sailed in the right direction. I need His help. I need His help. It's important that we spend some time. It could be a prayer, it could be meditation for a few moments, connecting this intellect, this needle, towards that higher source. And His directions help me to reach the destination for sure. Because I feel really nobody in the world knows you exactly the way you know yourself, and God knows you. We may think our people around us know me well. No. God knows you the best. And He exactly points out that powerful capacity which is in the soul, which completely elevates the soul, which completely transforms the soul. Sometimes when I receive signals from the greater satellite, there is no second thought, really. And it's easy, it's flowing. There is no effort in it, there is no laboring in it. There is a sense of comfort as you're seeing where there is love, there is labor. And absolutely, yes, you need that love for that wonderful magnet, mm, who is there to transform me, who is there to take me to create a highest destiny for me. And he says, your destiny is high. All you have to do is just move in that direction. But I have to hold his hand to move in that direction. Mm. So when I have his help, when I have, that greater magnet with me, then it's as if nothing is new. I've done it before. This intellect is absolutely clear and clean. The intellect actually has that capacity. Long back, I think I was reading an article, and this young girl who is like maybe 15 or 16 years old, and she was doing gymnastics, um, and so she reached to a point uh, where she did excellent, but then there is something else she has to learn. And so every time she was learning another higher step in her gymnastics, she was actually missing the point. She was falling. She has to jump from one pole to another, and then something like that. And then every time she was trying to hold a pole, she was missing it and she was falling. And so her coach said, just sit down for a few moments and visualize that you're doing that in your mind, in your intellect. She was repeating again and again, leaving one pole and holding the other. Again and again, she was repeating that. She was visualizing. And so after some time, her coach said, are you ready to do it? And she said, yes. And so the first instance, as soon as she finished her visualization, as soon as she did her first trial, she did it. And so our intellect is very smart. The intellect has the power to take the soul to the destination, but only if it's connected to the magnet. And so check your inner compass if tangled with any subtle threads. That's another important thing, right? Because, okay, my needle is fine, it's connected to the magnet, but maybe my needle is, caught up in some kind of thread. The thread of, I call it thread of attachment. Meaning the intellect is somewhere else connected rather than connecting to the magnet. So it could be attachment to my ego, attachment to my own ideas, attachment to people around me. And so that thread of attachment, when it is actually even a slight thing is blocking the needle, how will it move in the right direction? And so I need to check what are the threads that do not allow my needle to move at ease. There could be my threads of sensitivity. It could not just attachment, it could be even anger. Sometimes, in anger, I just break things, destroy. It's like, I just create a huge block inside myself. And so I need to check these subtle threads. Sometimes it could be, big ego that is sitting inside, that maybe not letting the needle to be smooth and sail, to show the direction. And so it's important to just drop these threads, these attachments, these egos, the self-doubt, and public opinion, drop all of this, let go these things, let go of your, attachments. And when it comes to attachment, this is what is very powerful slide, I feel. That is lift your anchor. It's important to lift your anchor and let the boat sail. Because if I need change, I need to let go the past. If I don't let go the past, then the anchor is not lifted. So I'm not moving forward. Right. So many times we know the direction, yes, I want to go, but then I haven't lifted the anchor. So lifting the anchor means my old way of thinking, my old way of doing, my old way of feeling. I have to let go them. Then only I can give a new direction. And lifting the anchor also means courage. I need to have that. I need to take that step of courage to have, excuse me, to actually sail through life. I need to lift that anchor and move with courage. Yes, I can do it because maybe a beautiful tomorrow is waiting for me. All I need to do is lift that anchor. So today, right now, if you're thinking to do something new in your life, if you're feeling like giving a new direction to your life, cut those threads that are disturbing the needle and not allowing the needle to be connected with the magnet, God, the source, and lift that anchor of self-doubt or, uh, lift that anchor of all kinds of things that put you back, that hold you behind, hold you back. Go for it. Do it. And so, yes, let go and let God in. Take that step of courage. Drop everything else. Just believe in your potential. Believe, trust in time, God. It will give me the best if I believe. Right? And so let the higher compass, that is the higher magnet, God, be the boatman of my boat. I, the soul, need to just surrender. Sometimes just give it in His hands. You take my boat further. Yes. He says, let me be your boatman. I'll take it further. But sometimes we'll say, no, no, I'll do it. And then we don't know where to go. And so we have to let that boatman, love to take this boat further. And if he is my boatman, then everything is wonderful, really. One most important thing that I have to check is that is my inner compass, does it have any rust? If the intellect is rusted, then anything that is rusted is it's rusty. And when the intellect is rusty, then it cannot be connected. It cannot attract the magnet, right? Something that is rusty cannot attract the magnet. And so I need to check that if my inner compass, if my inner needle is rusty. If the needle is rusty, with what? Sometimes the needle gets rusty with the thoughts of thinking about other situations past. Sometimes past events also don't allow us to see the future. It blocks the future, and um, you know, sometimes past will just make us say that get stuck. So I have to let go the past as well. I'm thinking about others. What will others think about situations? Sometimes past situations create certain trauma and they don't allow me to move forward. But your present is important. Your now is important. Absolutely. Because the way I'm thinking now, what I'm doing this present moment is creating my future. So the present is very, very important. How I live, how I think, so that I can create a brighter future. And then another important thing about not making my intellect rusty is victim attitude. Don't have that victim attitude. What to do? I become like this. Look at my life. No one cares about me. Mm, that I cannot do it. Don't don't go into that victim attitude of just victim attitude also means like just complaining about things, complaining I cannot do it, and just about everything that's not going well. Sometimes it becomes a habit. People feel like everything might be going wonderful, but you'll pick on one thing and then you'll start complaining about it. Look how this is going on. Look, everyone is targeting me. They're behaving like this with me. All of this victim attitude also doesn't allow me to move forward in life. So this is a big rust that can sit there and doesn't allow the needle to get connected to God, the magnet. So what should I do for the needle not to get rusty? Is that I need to soak this needle in self-reflection, the oil of self-reflection, right? Certain oils will make the rust be removed from the needle. And so this self-reflection each day for a few moments, do something for your spiritual self. Either it could be, as I said, a prayer or meditation, sit in silence, have this inward journey, going within your inner world, what's going on. Feel yourself as a soul, the wonderful being that you are. The qualities of peace, love, bliss, truth, the power of truth that the soul carries. Feel all of these wonderful things in the soul. And of course, there is Source who is always there to fill what I'm lacking. He's charging me all the time. But I need to allow myself, the intellect of this needle, be connected to him. To him or her. Again, don't go with the words, oh, why only him? Why not her as God? It's okay. God is light, God is incorporeal. You can say him or her, it doesn't matter. Sometimes we go with the language and we get stuck even with the language and it doesn't, and then we create sort of the distance between God and the soul. So just say source, light, magnet, greater satellite. I think so. Yes, be connected to that greater satellite so that he's there to guide. So, allowing this needle to be soaked in the self reflection is essential. So, yeah, life is this boat and sail on, to sail on and not get stuck with anything. Don't allow yourself to get stuck. Maybe there are beautiful things on your way to still experience. There will be always some obstacles which come on your way to stop you, because when you are in the ocean or a sea, when you're in the boat, there will be storms. It's not that there won't be. Storms will come. But there is always a way to keep going. There's always a way. So never get stuck. Let your needle be sharp. Let your needle always show your direction north, mm, that is towards your destination. And of course, the beautiful magnet is with me always. Om Shanti. So, yes, Om Shanti. So there was a lot to reflect on, right?